Hi, I'm Tammy Beilstein. Welcome to Tammy's Window on Calaveras. I'm here today with Rabbi Friedman, who is going to talk with us about Hanukkah and probably anything else we want to talk to him about. He is so open and easy to talk to. Thank you for being here.
You're quite welcome.
I actually wrote questions down because there are things I have wondered, didn't know the answer to, but I'm wondering if I ask them and everyone out there is going to be like, duh, we all knew that. I don't know these things.
Probably not, but we'll give it a shot. How's that?
We should probably start with the spelling of Hanukkah.
Right.
How is it spelled?
Okay, it's pronounced Hanukkah with a CH. Okay. But there is no in the English language.
Right.
So what happens is you wind up with CHANUKKH, HANUKKAH, all the variable spellings to try and say Hanukkah. So you come up with Hanukkah, and somebody said, CH. Oh, okay. So it's called Chanukah, like chair.
Right.
No, it's not. It's still Hanukkah. That's the holiday.
When I went to look it up earlier today to see if I could find answers to these things that I had these questions about, that came up. I started to type it in with an H, and it spell checked me with a CH, and I'm like, is that even it? I don't know if that's it. Am I going to the right place?
Yes, this is one of those that drive spell check crazy.
Yeah.
So what you do is you just type it in, CHANUKH, and then say ignore.
Right.
And then you get the spelling right.
Or I do the microphone. I should have done the microphone one and then that.
Yeah, we have a friend whose name is Yochanan, and when you call it, it comes out. Siri says, Yochanan?
Close.
Close. No, that's not close. Okay.
Okay, so I got the spelling out of the way. That was a weird thing. That was so weird. Now, what exactly does Hanukkah mean? Does Hanukkah mean Festival of Lights?
That's what it's translated as.
Okay.
It is a festival of lights. Mm-hmm. Hanukkah actually means redemption.
Oh.
So, yeah. And
that's not even close.
Not even close. But that's, again, we're doing English to Hebrew translations. And so the words, if you look at the spelling and then you look at what the Hebrew word is, it's actually comprised of 2 or 3 different Hebrew words that put together. But people call it the Festival of Lights, and that's because we have candles and lights. So
why would it be called redemption?
Because the Israelites redeemed the temple and brought it back again to its holiness, which had been destroyed by the Romans, actually the Syrian Greeks.
Okay, I think I'm even more confused.
Okay, let's go back to the beginning.
Because I thought Hanukkah was a story about oils that lasted longer than they should have.
Right.
But it's about...
It's a story about religious freedom.
Okay, so why don't you tell me?
Okay, Hanukkah is actually a holiday of religious freedom. If we would not be in the position that we're in all over the world if we did not have religious freedom. In other words, you couldn't practice your religion. Mm-hmm. So what happened is approximately the Jews in the time of Alexander the Great, he conquered the land, and the Jews decided, okay, we would be ruled by Alexander the Great rather than be conquered. So they gave up the land, and Alexander the Great was a liberal, quiet individual. He allowed the Jews to practice their religion, but Jews liked Hellenism. So they adopted Hellenistic traditions, and they gave up Judaism and became Hellenized.
What is Hellenized?
They became. It's a philosophy of. It's an approach to life. The wrestling in the buff, okay? And you see in Greek, things. Okay, that's what happened, and the Jews decided they weren't going to be circumcised. In other words, they became Hellenized the same way that a lot of Jews in the United States have become Americanized.
Okay. Okay,
so
that makes sense.
they give it up religion, and we take American values, and we do whatever America, rather than following the Torah and
Okay.
Jewish tradition, Jewish laws and customs. So in about 168 BCE, things changed. The Greek-Syrian king took over, and he said, "No, you guys have too much fun. What we're going to do is we cut out religion." They put an idol, Greek idol, up in the temple, and they literally brought sacrifices in. They sacrificed a pig in the temple, the whole thing. They went 180 degrees in the opposite direction.
Oh, my gosh.
And so the population around Jerusalem, they began to get upset. Mm-hmm. And there was a man who lived in a little village outside of Jerusalem called Modin, and his name was Mattathias, and he had 5 sons. And a Syrian soldier told Mattathias, "You need to bow down to the Greek god." And Mattathias said, "I will not." And he said, "Okay." He dropped his ring on the floor and said, "Well, then go pick up my ring." And he said, "I'm not going to do that either, because if I pick up your ring, I'm going to be bowing down." So he struck the soldier down, killed him, and then they fled to the hills. And he with his 5 sons, one of whom was Judah, who became Judah Maccabee, which means Judah the hammer. And so they waged guerrilla warfare against the Syrian Greeks for over 3 years. Some say it's actually went on for 30 years. They waged war against them, and they defeated them.
Whoa.
So when they defeated them, they went back to Jerusalem and cleaned out the temple, got rid of all the pigs and all the rest of the stuff and all the Greek idols. And then there was a menorah, a 7-branch candelabra, and they went to go light it, and all they found was one little tiny vat of oil. This is the miracle of Hanukkah. So they poured it in, and they lit it, and they said to one of their fastest runners, "Go to the hills where we have more oil and bring it back." Sacred oil to use, pure oil to use in the menorah. Well, it took him 8 days to get back. And meanwhile, that little vat of oil was burning for the 8 days until he got back with more oil to start it. So the holiday is the miracle of that little tiny vat of oil lasting for 8 days, which then is why the holiday lasts for 8 days in commemoration of that miracle, of the little vat of oil lasting for 8 days.
Oh my gosh, there is so much more to that than I ever knew.
Yeah.
That's a great
Yeah,
history.
I mean that's
history
that's the story. So if you think about, you go back to the basics of it. It's a celebration of resistance. It's a celebration of victory over the powerful forces of assimilation, which is what we fight continuously here. And you're raised in whatever religion you're raised at, and you try and get your kids involved in that. And for a little, I used to say that Judaism was cyclical. Somebody told me Judaism was cyclical. I said, "What?" He said, "Yeah, okay. You have a child, and so you want that child to be raised in your religion. So you begin taking that child to wherever you want, church or synagogue or whatever you go to, till they get old enough, till they get to an age of maturity, and then they drop out.
Yeah.
And they stay out until they go through college, right? And then, lo and behold, they fall in love, they get married, and what do? They have a baby.
Yeah.
So now they got to bring the baby back to church. So they're bringing the baby, and then the baby gets older and grows up and leaves.
Right.
And so they stop coming until one day they say, "Oh my God, I've gotten old.
Yeah.
I could die."
Right.
So they begin to go back.
Yeah.
They find religion all over again.
So true. That's in every religion.
Yeah.
Did you ever doubt your religion or question what
My
you were
religion?
doing?
Did I ever doubt it? I don't think I ever doubted it. I don't think I was probably on the practicing, on the cyclical practicing thing.
Okay.
Of where, when I started off going to Hebrew school. It was about 4.5, went till I was 13 to my bar mitzvah, and then dropped out until got married, had kids, came back to it again, and then after my kids all grew up and got out of it, and then kind of came back again.
Did you just drop out because you were so busy with family and all of that?
And think, yeah. And it doesn't, it was not important. Okay?
Not important. Right.
I've always been
Right.
Jewish.
Yeah.
We've always celebrated all of the holidays.
Yeah.
So we could say that a lot of Jews are secular Jews. In other words, they do all the holidays. They serve, for Hanukkah, they'll light the menorah, and for Passover, they'll have a Seder, and and for high holidays, they'll do other things, and so you observe the holidays, but don't necessarily.
That's how my family's become. I was raised Catholic, and then I became more Christian, say, than Catholic. Although I do like the ceremony and all of that of being Catholic, but we've kind of become. We go to church on the holidays, and if there's something else going on, say, I don't know, my kids' sports or something were happening, we wouldn't go to church. It got easy to not go.
What are the two most important holidays in Christianity?
Yeah.
Easter, right?
And Christmas.
And Christmas,
yeah.
right? So those are the two times people go to church. And a lot of times, and Jews in some instances the same thing. Where do they go? They go on the high holidays, and because they'll go for New Year, and they'll go for the Day of Atonement. And otherwise, most of the time...
Isn't Hanukkah the most important holiday?
No, Hanukkah is actually a minor holiday in the Jewish tradition.
So why is it the one we know about?
Well, because of the way, as we mentioned earlier, when it falls. Hanukkah falls on the 25th day of Kislev in the Jewish calendar. And people will say, Hanukkah's coming early this year in comparison to Christmas on the 25th day of December. No, Hanukkah is not coming early, and Hanukkah is not coming late. It's always coming on the 25th day of Kislev.
But for us, everything revolves around
That's
December
right.
25th.
We're on a lunar calendar, and the rest of the world, in the American world, whatever, we're on a solar calendar or the Gregorian calendar. So those days same, and so we have 29-day months and 30-day months, and somehow the rabbis figured out how to put this all together. So the calendar stays separate. Then in about every 7 years, we have to add, I think it's every 7 years, don't quote me on that. We have to add in a month to get everything back in line again.
Okay.
So that's what happens.
Wow, you get in a month.
We add in a whole month. It's the month of Adar, we have Adar 1 and Adar 2, ADAR, when you need to add it in. So we have a whole nother month added in, and that shifts everything back again. So what will happen is the holidays will creep closer. I think last year we were much closer to Christmas in terms of functioning. This way we're now on the 12th of December through the 18th, 19th, 20th of December. If I get that right, I'm probably off on my calendar time.
8 days.
8 days, right. So that's what or 10th to the 18th, I think, is where we are.
Okay.
But that's the 25th day of Kislev, which is the day that they reconsecrated the temple.
Okay.
And that's when they lit the first vat of oil. So that signifies that's the start of the holiday when things start. So that's why some years we're closer to Christmas.
Wow.
And the other thing is Hanukkah is not Jewish Christmas.
But it's so close to
close.
giving him presents and all. And
welcome to assimilation.
Oh, is that what that is?
Welcome to assimilation. Right, because we looked around at our Christian neighbors, and these kids are all getting tons of presents. And so, little Shlomo comes home and says to his parents, how come I'm not getting any presents? These kids get presents. So families have started with, presents for every night for Hanukkah, and then the kid can go to school and say, nanner, 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 I got 8 presents, and you only got 1. So that's it. I win.
So that's what else I wondered about the present thing. I wondered if you guys do that sort of like how we do with anniversaries, where like a certain year of anniversary is a symbol for something else. Like one is wood and one is paper.
Right.
Does each night have a certain kind of gift you have to give?
Nope.
Or?
No, when the kids were younger, we might do things like a coloring book and crayons and a pencil and an eraser. So we'd have 8 little presents, and they could either open one every night or they could open all of them the first night. But it wasn't like, okay, tonight you're getting your BB-8 Star Wars. Tomorrow night you're getting your Nerf rifle. Then you're going to get your complete female, cooking set, kitchen. No, we don't go. In my family, we don't go overboard. And the other thing is that Don Rickles we don't have a Christmas tree. Although some people we have families who are intermarried, and so they want to celebrate both Christmas and New Year's, and Hanukkah. You want to keep the traditions alive for, both of them. So they will have, unfortunately, a Hanukkah bush. It looks like a Christmas tree, but decorated in blue and white lights. That does not happen in our house. Okay?
Is it okay with you if people do that, or do you kind of think that lessens the...
Don Rickles said, trees belong in the forest, not in the middle of your living room.
Yeah.
One time. It's okay. It's not my holiday. My holiday is Hanukkah, and that's what we celebrate. So we light a candle every night. There's a discussion. There's the top candle, which stands up, is called the shamus, which is the leader candle.
Okay.
And then there are 8 more candles that go across. I brought 2 samples of 2 different menorahs, and you can see they're
so
different.
Cool.
They're entirely different.
I've never seen one like this. That's really neat.
And it's supposed to be the western wall, but then you have spaces on top of it for the candles. There's 2 schools of thought. They argued over. There were 2 rabbis, Beit Hillel and Beit Shammai, and they argued over which way do you light the candles when you put them in. You always light the shamus. Okay.
Okay.
So now the first night you light 1, and then the second night you light 2 and 3 and all the way up to you at 8. That was Beit Hillel. Beit Shammai said, no. You start with all of them, and then every night you unlight 1 till you get down to the end where you only have 1.
Oh.
Well, the discussion went back and forth, and they went with the school of Beit Hillel. So we add to the pool of light every single night.
How long are the candles lit? Because they wouldn't last all night.
No, they usually it's about at least 20 minutes. To go, and to celebrate. That's the other thing. To commemorate the holiday, you do not light this in the middle of your living room. They go into a window. You light them in a window so that you're projecting the spirit of Hanukkah out into the darkness outside.
That's beautiful.
And in our house, we actually have an electric one. But it's okay.
I was going to ask you about that.
It's okay.
Or the flameless candles where you use the battery.
That's
and
it.
The candle.
That's it. And they
can go all 8 days.
Right.
They can go 80 days.
But we put it in the window, and every night we, tighten down an extra one. So it's in a window, and we've got banners that say Happy Hanukkah, and we will play the dreidel game.
The little top.
The little top, right? That has 4 Hebrew letters on it. Nun, Gimel, Hey, Shin. There's 4 Hebrew letters, and it stands for 4 Hebrew words. It's Nes Gadol Haya Shem, which means a great miracle happened there.
Oh.
In Israel, it's Nes Gadol Haya Po, a great miracle happened here.
That's so neat.
So you have Israeli dreidels and outside Israeli dreidels. And then we play a game with matchsticks, or some people will use the chocolate coins that you can buy.
I've seen those, yeah.
Right. And so what it is Nun, the Nes, is nothing. Gadol means you take the whole pot.
Oh.
Haya means you get half of the pot. And Shem, you put in.
Oh, goodness.
So that's the Jewish version of...
Is it over if the first person gets the whole pot?
No. Then you're in again. So you'll have a little stack of coins in front of you. The problem, don't eat your coins, right? Till the game's all over with.
That'd be so hard.
That's it. Some people play it with toothpicks, so it gets out of the coin realm. But yeah, so we will, every night light another candle, so that by the end of the time we'll have all 8 candles lit.
And how'd you go from oil to candles? Why don't you have some sort of oil?
You can have an oil menorah.
Oh,
yeah,
all right.
they have little. We have one at home. I didn't bring all of the ones. We have a collection of these. Ones that even use little tiny birthday candles to big ones.
Oh, sweet.
We have one that my father-in-law made that's actually a circle, which is not a kosher menorah because it has to be in a straight line. But I brought it last time I talked about this just to show it. And so there are ones that have oil, and you light the oil every single night, and you add a little more oil to it so you can keep going.
Oh, that's so neat.
It's a miracle of light. Doesn't matter whether it's oil, whether it's candles. There's a story that's told that on the last night of Hanukkah, all the candles are lit, and if they all go out at the same time, as that wisp of smoke goes up in the air, if you make a wish, it'll come true.
Oh, Oh, that's so neat.
Now, I've not had that happen in my time because you figure you're lighting them up, as you go along.
Yeah.
This one got lit about 20 seconds before this one got
Yeah.
lit. So it's not happened, but that's it's a story that says,
That is
okay, here
so
you do it.
neat. Is it always the father who does the lighting, or does each person in the family do a lighting? Anybody?
Anybody. We have,
Okay.
all the kids have a menorah. My wife has a menorah. I have a menorah. And so we could, literally have, half a dozen menorahs. If somebody comes over to our house for Hanukkah to have dinner and celebrate with us, and we have certain foods that are part of the Hanukkah tradition. I don't know if you're going to ask that
I
or not.
probably will ask it. I like food.
Okay.
So I will ask you, but finish what you're saying.
Okay, so everybody will light their own Hanukkah, their own menorah. Sometimes it's called a Hanukkah, but it's actually a menorah.
Okay.
But sometimes everybody will light their own menorah that night.
Okay.
And we all say the blessings. Dory Sherry, who was a conservative rabbi a long, long time ago, put together a Hanukkah book. And every candle has a different significance.
Oh.
So candle one may be love, maybe peace, maybe happiness, and so as you add to the pool, and finally, I think the last night is peace. So every candle
That's
has a
beautiful.
thing, and then we read a little something that signifies, that little thing. But normally the candles, no. It's the
Okay.
thing that he put together. It's not like, which candle are we lighting tonight? Oh, we're lighting
Yeah.
the candle of freedom tonight.
Yeah.
No, it's
Yeah.
just the way they are.
Like you kids have been arguing. We're doing peace again.
That's what. And we definitely need to do peace again and again, no, more
Yeah,
times.
we do. Now, see, your candles are blue and white. So I know about the flag and all of that. What does the blue and white represent?
The Israeli flag.
That's it.
But
okay.
the candles don't. We have ones at home that you can buy, the little boxes, and they're red and yellow and orange and green, and the
Oh,
kids
all
love
right.
to figure out, make a pattern when they
Yeah.
light them. It just so happens that we had a box of blue and white, so
Oh, they're really so pretty.
I brought those with me.
So
to
pretty. Where do you find these interesting
the menorahs?
Yeah.
Called a Jewish bookstore or Judaica shop.
Are they around here?
There's none around here, but you can go online.
Okay.
And there are a number of stores. And in fact, if you type in, Hanukkah menorah,
CH, type in CH.
CH, yes, you'll get a whole bunch of, websites that'll come up. There's some, like New York, Eichler's and Judaica World, and they sell, them. There are bookstores in L.A. you can go to. In the Bay Area, in Berkeley, there's Afikomen, which is a Jewish bookstore, and they have. There's another bookstore in Los Gatos. So, yeah, you can find them, and a lot of temples in their gift shop. For example, like Temple Israel in Stockton has a gift shop, and there will be menorahs for sale in the gift shop.
That's good to know. Because as you were talking, I was thinking everywhere I go, unless it's only because I'm Catholic and I notice it, but I see Christmas everywhere. I just don't see these sorts of things out on the shelves for people to buy.
Right, because it's a Jewish holiday.
Yeah.
And unless if you're in an intermarried family, intermarriage, where one of the partners is Christian and the partner is Jewish, then yes, they might have a menorah
Both, yeah.
and celebrate both holidays at that
Yeah.
time.
What does I have for you?
And this year we're going to be in Hawaii over Christmas time, so we're going to be hearing Christmas carols, Hawaiian Christmas
Hawaii.
carols, and watching Santa's sleigh being pulled by dolphins.
Oh, my
so
God.
we're getting away from all of the Christmas music here.
Oh, what a neat. You have so many neat traditions. I love it. You said something early on though that stuck in my head. When you said the year, you said BCE.
Right.
What is
Before the Common Era.
Is that what we're supposed to say?
Well, I mean, people call, AD,
Yeah.
which is Anno Domino, which means in the year of our Lord, and they're referring to Jesus.
Right.
So, since Jews don't accept Jesus, we a whole other tradition, a whole other talk. We can have this one go
Yeah,
on forever. But since we don't accept Jesus as as the Savior,
Son of God.
and Son of God, so you go by BCE or CE in the Common Era
Okay.
for your dating.
Okay, so that's one of the things I was wondering. Now, this is probably a stupid question. Do you have someone in your religion like Jesus? Is there a person that lived that you guys look to?
We don't. The only person we venerate is God.
Okay.
God's the big guy.
He's the guy.
He's the guy.
man. Yeah.
So, and in fact, the story's even because you don't want to venerate anybody or have that, the story's told that when Moses died, because what he had done, he'd struck the rock, that God said, you're not going to come into the land of Israel. They say he's buried at the bottom of the mountain, but when you go look at the bottom of the mountain, his grave's at the top of the mountain. And we get the top of the mountain, his grave's at the bottom of the mountain. So that way you cannot go to his grave and pray to Moses for intercession. Now, there are rabbis who we know who are very righteous individuals, and when they die, they're much closer to God than we are.
Okay.
But so what you may do is you may ask, I'm going to ask Rabbi Larry to intercede, to put a good word in with me for God. Okay.
Right.
I'm not praying to Rabbi Larry to, give me a blessing or something. I want Rabbi Larry to talk to God.
Yeah.
And say, help me.
Yeah. Like when we would speak with a priest and ask him to pray for us, or not ask them to pray for us.
Yeah, so we don't have, so there's nobody like Jesus. And, I've told people before, I said, he was a prophet, he was a teacher. We just never recognized him as the Messiah.
Okay.
He didn't, whole nother discussion, but there are certain requirements that need to be met according to Isaiah and according to text that says these requirements must be met for the Messiah to be here. And one of which is universal peace. And he didn't bring it. So he did not fulfill all of what the requirements were. And so we're still waiting. So Christians are waiting for the second coming, and we're still waiting for the first coming. Supposedly to happen in the year 6000. By the year 6000, it's 577. So we got 5,777. So we have a couple more years to go.
So we're going to miss it, you and I.
Yeah, unless he comes early. Now, if everybody does what they're supposed to do, we're off on the Hanukkah tradition. Way come off track. But last thing, and then we'll come back on track again. If everybody did what they were supposed to do, then he can come early.
Okay.
So he's either going to come at the time he's supposed to come, or if everybody, makes peace, loves themselves, does everything, accepts everything onto themselves that they're supposed to do,
make an early appearance.
He'll be an early appearance.
Yeah. Oh, my gosh. You are going to have to come back because I still have so many questions. One of my best girlfriends, her name is Karen. She was raised just like I was. We went to Catholic school together, all of that. She traveled to Israel. Oh, I'm probably going to run out of time. Fell in love with it. She said she felt like it was her home when she got off the plane. It was nothing like she'd ever experienced before. She just felt it. She has since then become Jewish, and she owns a shoes company in Israel. It's called Jaffa Shoes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that's hers. She is incredible, and I love hearing her talk about. She hasn't totally given up all of her Catholic Christian ways because her whole family is still that way. But she's so in love with the Jewish religion and the people and the land and all of it. It's
definitely the first time we went, which was way back in 1980.
2 minutes.
Okay, and we got off the plane. Some people got off the plane and kissed the ground because they had come home again. You started mentioning you were a foodie, so we need to end up on talking about Hanukkah food. There are two things. Everything has to be fried in oil.
Yum.
Okay.
Yeah.
But the two traditional foods, one are potato latkes, which are potato pancakes like hash browns.
Right.
Okay. And the other one in Israel is called sufganiyot, which are jelly donuts.
Oh. Maybe I am part Jewish, I don't know it.
So if you like those two things, if you like potato pancakes and jelly donuts, then
I'm a little Jewish.
You're a little Jewish. You're a little Jewish.
Oh my gosh, we are out of time. That went by so fast. Seriously, please come back. I have so many things to ask you.
And come to Israel with us when we go in April 2019.
Gosh, that would be awesome.
We can talk about that off air.
Okay. Thank you so much for being here.
You're quite welcome.
I didn't even... Oh my gosh, I hope they put up where people can find you or talk with you. Contact the station if you want to know more about the rabbi. He's a wonderful man. Thank you for being here.
You're quite welcome.
Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time on Tammy's Window on Calaveras.